Welcome to Sarah Lottie's. For today's workout, you'll need an exercise band, a yoga block, as well as a set of light dumbbells. As with all these workouts, if you don't have the equipment, that's okay. You can do it without. Let's get started today, my friends. We're going to start with that band just around our legs. We're going to bring it up just about a couple of inches above the knees. Weights and the block can go just off to the side. And we're going to spin around. We'll start on our knees today in a tabletop position. So got that band, feet are hip-width distance apart. Knees have a little bit of pressure and thighs on the outside of that band. Fingertips just ahead of your shoulders. Have our feet nice and flat on the ground, tops of the feet pressing onto the mat. Find an exhale. Let's scoop through that low core, lifting those hips up, rounding your spine. And then inhale, coming through that neutral spine. And then finding that extension, chin lifts up ever so slightly. Exhale, let's press round through the spine, finding that neutral and pressing through that beautiful flexion of the spine. Hips lift, gaze goes to your thighs, and then a nice big inhale, looking forward, chin lifts ever so slightly. Let's do one more just like that. Nice big exhale, warming up that spine, starting to wake up those shoulders. Lift, 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 and then finding that inhale. That beautiful extension here. Let's find a neutral position. And then we're going to find those left toes extended here. And just find a little toe tap down. And then a little exhale, draw up. Trying to keep those hips nice and level here the entire time so they're not rocking back and forth. Just starting to wake up the back line of the body. And we're sucking in, feeling that low and deep core, keeping those hips nice and stable. What we want to avoid is any of that arching of the low back. That means our core is not deeply engaged. All right, let's hold those toes up in 3, in 2, and 1. Let's hold those toes up. Right fingertips come up in line, and let's just find some fingertip taps down to the mat. Exhale, draw up. Left toes are just keeping that nice isometric hold with the band, and we're finding those finger taps onto the mat. Be mindful, no arching of that lower core. All right, let's hold fingertips and toes up in 3, in 2, and 1. Fingertips and toes. Let's go together this time. Inhale, drop down. Exhale, squeeze, draw up. Inhale, down. Exhale, squeeze up. Inhale, down. Exhale, squeeze up. Let's do 3 more just like that for 3. For 2, we're going to hold this next one. 1, little up an inch, tiny pulses, little down. Little up. Little down, you've got 3. You've got 2, squeeze that low core, and 1. Inhale, press down, and draw yourself back. We're going to come through that tabletop position and just go right back to those cat-cows. So nice big exhale, finding that rounding of the spine. Inhale, dropping that belly, gaze comes up. We'll do 2 more just like that. Exhale, lifting those hips, rounding the spine, gaze goes to the thighs. And then inhale, dropping your belly down, lifting that chin up, finding that beautiful extension. Nice big exhale, press, lift, find that flexion. And then inhale, belly drops down, chin lifts slightly. Let's find that neutral position supported in the core. This time, exhale, those right toes are going to extend behind you. And then we'll find those toe taps, just dropping toes down. Exhale, lifting up. Toes come down. Exhale, lift up. Being mindful again that you're squeezing up through the core, like there's a little hand pressing you up here. That little hand is your own power, your own deep level of core. All right, we're going to hold those toes up in 3. We'll add that left hand this time in 2 and 1. Right toes are up. Let's find those left fingertips forward here. Right toes stay as they are, keeping tension on the band. Inhale, fingertips down. Exhale, up. Inhale, fingertips down. Exhale, up. We're drawing those shoulders away from the ears. Traps are helping us out a little bit here, but sometimes we can get those scrunchy shoulders in here. We want to focus on balance and elongation. All right, let's hold those fingertips and toes up in 5. In 4, we'll do toes and fingers together in 3. In 2, and 1. Fingertips and toes up. Inhale, down. Exhale, up. Inhale, down. Exhale up. Once again, finding that nice support of the low core. We're going to hold. Fingertips and toes up nice and high. We'll find those pulses in 3, in 2, and 1. Fingertips and toes up. Little up an inch, little down. Roll those shoulders away from your ears. You have 4. You've got 3. Pulse it out for 2. And 1. Extend. Press those fingers and knees into the mat and extend. Draw yourself all the way back. Nice little warm up here for the spine. You can roll those wrists out here. And we're going to find ourselves in a modified plank position. So knees are going to be just behind your hips and hands will be pressing forward. Still keeping a little bit of tension on the band. We're going to warm those triceps up. So squeezing that core like you're in a plank position on your toes. Drop it down into the elbows. Exhale, press up. Drop it down into the elbows on an inhale. Exhale, press up. So still working that core. You're pressing those shins into the mat on the way up. That's going to activate that low and deep core. Elbows come down and press exhale on the way up. Elbows down, press exhale on the way up. Let's do 2 more here. We're going to hold down nice and low in 3, in 2, and 1. Hold down low, press into the shins, squeeze the glutes, little up an inch, little down. Make sure you've got a bend to those elbows. Think about elbows drawing back towards the back edge of your mat for 4, for 3, for 2, and for 1. Press, come back. A little bit more here on that core and balance. We're going to find those fingertips just ahead of your shoulders. Knees underneath your hips, and we'll find that tabletop position, the neutral spine. Tuck the toes under. We'll find an exhale here, lifting up just about an inch or so off of the mat. Left extends, right extends, right knee under hip, left knee under hip. Right extends, left extends, left knee under hip, right knee under hip. So moving nice and slowly here, being mindful not to shift the hips from side to side. This one takes a lot of focus, a lot of coordination, and it's a nice full body move. We're getting those legs involved. We're, of course, recruiting that core. Shoulders staying nice and stable the entire time. Let's hold both sets of your knees underneath your hips in 5. In 4, both sets of those knees under your hips in 3. In 2. And 1. Beautiful. Drop the knees down. Exhale, press up. Drop the knees down. Exhale, press up. Now be mindful that you're squeezing that core. It's again that little hand that's pressing you up. Should be feeling those quads. And feel free to find a little bit more pressure here. Just waking up those outer thighs here as well. Let's hold in 3. Holding, hovering in 2. And 1. Nice little hover here. Just a hold. You have 5. You've got 4. Squeeze those glutes, shoulders away from ears for 3. For 2. And for 1. Drop down and press back. Good job. All right. We're going to spin around. We'll give the wrists a little bit of a break here. And we'll get moving on some of that core. So let's keep the band just around your thighs. And we're going to keep those knees bent here, okay? All right. Find an exhale. Those fingertips are nice and in line with your shoulders. Slight tuck of the chin, rounding of the spine. Come down nice and slow for 3, for 2, and for 1. All right. We're going to exhale and draw those legs up just into a tabletop position. Finding an inhale, those hands can come up overhead. Let's lift head, neck, and shoulders on an inhale, and then exhale, those fingertips come down by your sides. We're going to start pumping those hands here. Just finding some vigorous pumps. Fingertips are reaching away from your torso. Now, a couple things that we can do to make this a little bit more challenging. Extend those knees just half an inch away. It's really going to fire up that low core, the area underneath your navel, to give you that stability. As you're pumping, that pelvis stays heavy into the mat. You're pressing and squeezing. Good. Let's hold those hands nice and still in 3, in 2, and 1. Hands are nice and still. Extend toes. Draw back to that tabletop. We're keeping that pressure on the bend. Extend those toes, and then back to that tabletop position. Extend the toes. Back to tabletop. Let's hold those toes out in 3. Toes extended in 2. And 1. Inhale, hands come up. They're coming up and behind your head, elbows out nice and wide. Good. We're going to open that band just a little bit and then close it, keeping pressure the entire time. Open the band and close. Open the band and close. Little open and close. Now, we want to be mindful you can have a little bit of space here between your back and the mat, but ideally you're putting a little bit of pressure in here, really activating that core. We don't want any arching of the back, so if your legs are coming all the way down and that back starts arching, just gently nudge those legs up just a little bit. All right, see if you can come up a little higher in that crunch. If those elbows have slacked off, let's hold. Ooh, those legs out in 3, in 2, and 1. And then fingertips are going to find some toe reaches here. Doesn't have to be huge. We're not relying on momentum to get us up, but rather that deep core as our powerhouse here, lifting up, press, squeeze. Exhale facilitates your lift. You have 5. You've got 4. You've got 3. Keep reaching for 2 and 1. Knees in. Give yourself a nice big hug. Good job. All right, we're going to use that band just a little bit more here. It's going to come around your ankles this time, and we're back in that tabletop position. So drawing those knees just over your hips, maybe a little ahead to really activate that core. And then we're going to keep that crunch, elbows out nice and high. Going to find some banded bicycles here. So opposite elbow to opposite knee. Inhale through center. Exhale facilitates your twist. Inhale through center. Exhale, extend. Now again, with any of these exercises, if the band does not feel good or supportive in your body, feel free to take it off. It's activating that deep core. You're getting those obliques working quite a bit. But if you're finding any strain in parts of your body that you don't want to feel strain in, such as your low back or your neck, feel free to take the band off. All right, let's hold right elbow to your left knee in 5. Right elbow to your left knee in 4. In 3. In 2. And 1. We're going to lower those toes and lift. Little lower of both and lift. You're keeping this elbow nice and locked into place. You've got that little curl. Shoulder blades off the mat. Let's hold in 3. Let's hold those legs. Neutral position in 2. And 1. And little twists of the torso. You've got 8. You've got 7. You've got 6. You've got 5. You've got 4. 3, 2, and 1. Inhale. Let's come to the other side. Extend opposite leg. Good. And we're going to drop those toes down. Sharp point to the toes and draw up. Sharp point to those toes down and right back up. Sharp point down and up. Being mindful this leg in tabletop is not drooping down. Let's hold it in 3. Find those twists in 2 and 1. We're holding in that neutral position. And then we're squeezing, finding that elbow to knee. You've got 6, 5, for 4, for 3, for 2, and 1. Inhale, draw those knees in, and then give yourself a nice big hug, knee to nose, rounding that spine, slight tuck of the chin, and then let's find a couple rolls up, really rounding that spine. Elbows can be out nice and wide. We are going to ditch that band here in just a second, but just give your spine a nice little roll out here. Ooh. Hopefully we're feeling good at home here, my friends. We're going to switch positions here. We're going to take that band. It's going to go back on those legs, but we're going to reposition ourselves to the side. So we're going to find some clams here and some extensions. That hand is just going to rest on your head. And then when we're in the side position, you want that torso to be lifted off the mat so we're engaged in that core rather than pressing the rib cage down. So just finding that little lift. A nice way to do that is with your fingertips tenting in front. All right, so that left leg is going to rest on the bottom, and we're opening up, finding that clamshell here, drawing knee to knee, and then pressing, resisting that pressure of the band. Just open and close, lifting up. Good, open and close. You don't need those heels pressed together. We're just finding a little raise and a little lower here. Good. Let's hold that leg up in 5, in 4, top leg up in 3, in 2, and 1. That top leg is up. Extend, bend, close, open, extend, and bend, and close. Good. Getting a lot of inner thighs here, as well as your outer thighs. A lot of that glute med working here as well. Whew, feeling those supportive side muscles in the body. Again, creating that space here. Can do that by tenting those fingertips forward. If you want a little extra, hand can come behind your head. That's really going to engage that lower core that's on the mat. All right, let's hold. Those toes extended in 5. In 4, toes extended on the right side in 3. In 2, and 1. Those toes are extended. Just a hold here. We'll hold for 8, for 7, 6, for 5. You've got 4, 3, 2, and 1. Bring those knees in. And then we're going to take the band off here for now. And we can find a different variation here of the clamp. So in this version, those heels are going to squeeze together, and we'll open up and then close. Little open up, and then we close. Open up and close. Good. Open and close. You can still do this with your band if you would like. This we're focusing on that rotation of the hip. Sometimes with the band, it gets to be a little bit too much tension and you end up muscling your way, but we really want to focus on that rotation of the hip so pelvis stays nice and steady. Sometimes with the band, the hip can shift side to side with that extra tension. Let's hold that clamshell open in 5. In 4, clamshell open in 3. In 2, and 1. Hold it open. Click those heels together, knee to knee. Heels stay locked together. You can always drop that leg down that's on the mat. Nice big squeeze, keeping that pelvis steady. Let's hold it open in 3. In 2, and 1. Hold it open here. Good. Little pulses, little up an inch and down, keeping your pelvis steady. Little up, little down for 5. For 4, 3, 2, and 1. Close, and then drop both of those legs down to the side. Good. Give yourself a little tenderization here. Before we get to the other side, we're going to work the back line of the body. So you can grab that band one more time and just put it a couple inches above your knees and find a little bend to your knees. Tuck your chin, C curve, rolling yourself down using that core to get down. Once you're down on the mat, palms are going to face down, and you're just going to find a little bit of tension in that band. Feet rest, hip width distance apart, maybe a little bit lighter with the tension on that band. Let's scoop through that low core, thinking of your pelvis lifting before you make contact of that spine up and off the mat, okay? So that tuck of the pelvis, and then that beautiful spine lift here. Nice. Up, nice and high, and then slowly curving yourself down for 3, for 2, and for 1. Find that tuck, and then lift, articulating this bridge up, nice and high, and then dropping it down nice and slow. Articulate that bridge up nice and high, squeezing the glutes here, and then dropping it down nice and low. All right, we are going to hold those hips up nice and high in 3. Hold those hips up high in 2, and 1. Hips are up nice and high here. Beauty. And then just little up an inch, little down. If you want to challenge that balance, you can bring those fingertips up overhead. Even a little bit more, biceps can come in line with the ears. Little up an inch, little down. Pressing, squeezing on the outside of that band. You have 5. You have 4. You have 3. You have 2. And 1. Articulate that spine all the way down. Hands come down by the side. And then you can draw those knees up. Knees come into the chest. Nice rounding of the spine on an exhale. And let's find a couple of rolls. We're going to get that other side. I like to do just a little flush out in between the sides, just so that one leg can kind of get all of that work flushed out before we start to that other side. All right, we're going to find that nice supportive position again. This time that left side's going to be on top, and hand can rest on your head. Once again, we're going to find just that nice space here in between the mat. And then we're just going to find some opening here and closing. Little opening and closing. Now, as humans, we're generally not symmetrical beings, okay? So one side might feel tighter. My left side tends to be a little bit tighter in my hip. So I'm just going to allow myself the grace of easing into this one. I might not get as high on the band. That's okay. That's why we do this work. We're finding those inconsistencies in the body and building that strength, that stability, and that mobility here. All right, we're going to open it up in 3, leg extensions in 2, and 1. It's an open and bend and close. Open, extend, and bend and close. Open, extend, and bend and close. Good. So just working that outer side here of the body. Feeling that stability in the right leg. It's drawing down as we find those bend and extends on the left side. We're going to hold and find that full extension in 5. Finding that pulse in 4. In 3. In 2. And 1. Just find that beautiful extension. Lifting up off of that mat. Just hold sharp point to the toe. You have 5. You've got 4. Can you lift a little higher for 3, 2, and 1. Draw that knee in, knee to knee. We're going to take the band off and we'll find ourselves back in that clam position, just finding a little bit more on rotation here. So we've got those muscles primed for us. Now we're going to focus on pelvic stability. So pressing here, we're just going to find heel to heel, open and close. Little open and a close. It's an open and a close. Little open and a close. If that's feeling okay, you can lift up that bottom leg and find that opening and that closing. Really, again, focusing on that stability of the pelvis. We're working on that rotation, thinking about leading with that femur. Whew. Squeezing those heels knee to knee. We're going to hold it open. Find those pulses in 5. In 4. In 3. Stay lifted off that mat. 2. And 1. Good. And little open, little close, keeping that stability. Little open and a little close for 5. For 4. For 3. For 2. And 1. Close it down. Drop those knees back onto the ground, ankles onto the ground as well. Come off to one side. And we're going to scoop ourselves to a nice shell pose here. You're probably wondering, what are we going to do with this yoga block and these weights? Well, the time has come. We're going to enter those into the workout here. So let's place that yoga block just halfway or so in the middle of your mat. We're going to start just in a nice standing position here. So we have worked those outer thighs, inner thighs quite a bit. Now let's work them in a more dynamic fashion. They're nice and primed for us. Left foot's going to be on that block. We're going to have the right toes just off to the side, and we'll have those weights just at our chest. Now we're going to start in a nice wide squat and find a narrow squat. It's a wide squat to a narrow squat. Now notice I'm only standing up about halfway, okay? So we're not standing up all the way. We're just staying nice and low, keeping that tension here, particularly in that left side. A little bit more of a dynamic stretch and movement in the right side, just moving from that narrow to that wide. Good. All right, this time, my friends, every time you go into that wide squat, lift the hands up overhead, back to the narrow, elbows come in. Arms up overhead and squeeze. Up overhead and squeeze. Keep it simple. High reps here. Should start to be feeling that left side starting to fatigue here, my friends. Fatigue is good. It means that we're working towards our threshold of strength. We're getting those slow twitch muscle fibers going in the body. Let's hold it out to that wide squat in 5, in 4, in 3, in 2, and for 1, hold it out here. Just a shoulder press, elbows out, exhale, press up. See if you can get a little lower, elbows out, and press up. Now, one thing to be mindful of is squeezing that core so we're not arching that low back and relying on flexibility. We do put a lot of load on our skeletal system every day, And that's good. That's partially what we're training. However, the more we can get those muscles to engage and recruit them in these daily movements, the stronger we'll become, not only in the spine, but also in those muscles, whole body system. Let's hold those elbows out wide in 3, in 2, and 1. Elbows out wide. You got those elbows in and out, in and out. If you want a little extra, every time you go out, you can lift that right heel and in, up and out, down and in, up and out, down and in. Relax shoulders, up and out, and down and in. Let's hold those elbows out wide in 5, in 4, in 3, in 2, and 1. That heel can be up or down, and just little pulses here. Little up an inch, little down, little up, little down. For 5, can you get lower? You got 4. For 3, for 2, and 1. Press stand. Give yourself a nice little shake. Gonna roll those shoulders down your back, slight tuck of the chin, and let your body hang down. Nice little stretch, little side, little side, little side, and little side. All right. Now, nothing fancy here. We're just going to shift that block over towards that right side of your mat. We'll do the same thing on the other side. Right foot comes to the block, finding that balance. Weights are in, elbows out nice and wide. Now, go for that narrow squat. Ooh, to the wide squat. Wide squat to that narrow squat. Good. Wide squat to the narrow squat. Now, we've just worked that left side in an isometric fashion, meaning it was pretty much in the same position, maybe moving it up an inch or so down. Now we're moving a little bit more dynamically. Same with that right side. It moved from a dynamic motion to an isometric motion. So keeping those muscles guessing. We're ready for that everyday life. All of those pivots that we have to make day to day. This is great functional fitness. All right, this time, elbows are in and we're drawing out. Elbows come in and we draw into that shoulder press. Elbows in on the narrow, out up nice and high on the wide, and in and out. Let's hold it in that nice wide squat in 5, in 4, in 3, in 2, and 1. Hold it in that nice wide squat, finding that shoulder press. Elbows down, staying stable in that core, and relaxing shoulders away from the ears. Getting a nice isometric hold, helping those bones and helping the muscles. Let's hold elbows out in 3, in 2, and 1. Elbows out. Let's draw in and out. Up and in, down and out. Up and in, reversing it this time. Down and out, up and down and out. I don't know if I like feeling down and out. I like feeling up and in. Let's hold. This time those elbows in 5. In 4, we'll do pulses in front of us in 3, in 2, and 1. And little up an inch, little down, little up, little down. You've got 5. You've got 4. For 3, 2, and 1. Press down. Hop off of that block. And then, my friends, we're going to tuck our chin and just find a nice little forward fold here. Drawing to that left side and to that right side, letting everything hang. No squeezing or sucking, just a full release and a slight tuck of that chin. Feeling that beautiful rounding. Good. Roll those shoulders down your back. And then, my friends, we're going to find ourselves in a couple sets of lunges here. So we'll start with that left side. Left foot's going to be on the block. And we'll find those right toes behind us. Now, we're going to find a Pilates style lunge. So bend in that left leg. Right leg stays straight and extended. And we've got those elbows just locked in. We're going to drop down to more of a split squat position. And then extend out. Bending down, fingertips to shoulders, and full extension. Bending down, 90 degrees, squeezing that core, and then that full extension as we inhale. Being mindful we're not over tucking your chin each time that you come into that Pilates style lunge. You want to think about holding about a grapefruit's worth of space just between your chin and your throat. All right, we've got 2 sets of pulses. First, we're going to have both knees bent to 90 degrees in 5. In 4, both knees to 90 in 3. In 2, and 1. All right, let's bring those elbows up to shoulder height. And then it's up an inch and down. Little up, little down, staying stable in that pelvis. You're here for 5. No side to side rocking, just up and down for 3. For 2, and for 1, hold it here. And then, my friends, we're going to twist those hands to the front, finding that shoulder press, drawing down and up and drawing down, stable in that core and up. It's an isometric hold here on both legs. And we're finding that movement here of the shoulders. Let's hold. Elbows out wide in 3. Elbows out wide in 2. And 1. Little up an inch. Little down of the legs. Little up. Little down. Arms stay steady for 5. For 4. For 3. 2. And 1. Inhale. Let's come through the center here. And then find that Pilates style lunge. Let's draw in and extend out. Elbows stay locked in place, fingertips to shoulders, and extend out. Fingertips to shoulders. Can you bend down a little bit lower and extend out? Fingertips to shoulders and extend out. Let's hold those fingertips open in 3. Fingertips wide in 2. And 1, squeeze that low core, little up an inch, little down, little up, little down for 5. For 4, shoulders away from ears for 3. 2, and 1, step it forward, give your leg a little shake. Before you can even think about it, let's go to the other side. Right foot's going to be on that block. Left toes are going to be behind. Elbows lock in by your side. And then we're going to find, all right, that nice split squat lunge. And inhale, extend forward. Exhale, everything squeezes. And inhale, coming forward. Now we can find that bicep curl, elbows up a little higher. Tricep extension on the way back. Bend down into both knees, squeezing that core. And inhale, coming up. Bend, squeeze. Inhale, coming up. And bend, squeeze. Let's do 3 more like that. And then we're going to find our hold in our split squat in 3. In 2. And for 1, let's find our split squat here. Good. All right. Let's lift those elbows up just a little higher. Keeping the pelvis steady, we're just moving up and down. Little down, little up, little down, little up. You have 5. You've got 4. Nice stable here in that upper body. You've got 3. For 2, and 1. This time, let's find a chest press. Drawing those elbows in and opening. Keeping shoulders steady this time. And opening. Shoulders in and opening. We're going to hold it in 5. Hold them open in 4, in 3, in 2, and 1. Little up an inch, little down, little up with the arms, little down. You have 5. You got 4. Can we get lower? You've got 3, 2, and 1. Extend it all the way forward. Elbows lock in. Second round of those triceps. Fingertips to your shoulders and extend out. Fingertips to shoulders and extend out. Can you get lower in that right side? We're squeezing those shoulders away from your ears. It's okay if those traps are helping out here, but our main focus is the triceps. And to allow our triceps to work, we need to tell the other muscles, hey, you can take a break. Let's hold those triceps out nice and wide in 3. Fingertips out in 2. And 1, we're going to find those pulses. Little up an inch, little down, little up, little down, finding that balance for 5. For 4, chin away from your throat. You've got 3. You've got 2. And 1, step it forward. Woo! Good job, everybody. Kick that block off to the side. And again, let's just find some rounding here. Slight tuck of the chin. Rolling it forward nice and slow. 3, 2. And for 1, those weights can come down. And we can come down to our knees. Now, we're going to use the block. We're going to use those weights as well. A fun little finisher. So you're going to put 1 set of weights underneath your knee. I've got it here on my right side. Left hand is going to go just on the block. You're in a tabletop position. And we're going to find a lift and a lower. Just a lift and a lower. So really working both sides of the body, working the glutes, that back line of the body, and a little bit of shoulder stabilization happening here. Got a slight bend in that left. Right arm is fully extended. This time, friends, let's open up, out, and around. It's an up, out, and around, keeping that pelvis steady and really working the backs of your legs as well as the sides. Let's switch directions here. Okay, so we'll find an open to the back and down. Little open to the back and down. Open, rotate, and down. Open, rotate, and down. Let's hold it open in 3, to the side, in 2, and 1. Little open, little up an inch, little down. Little up, little down for 5. You've got 4. Can you draw that knee away from your body? Maybe a little higher in the air. 2, and 1. Close it out. And then, friends, we're going to lift up nice and high and that right side and give ourselves a little push up. Exhale to press up. Woo, exhale, pressing down. You're squeezing that heel towards your glute, that little extra weight, and then dropping down. Exhale, push up. Think about squeezing through your waist. Woo, like you're trying to get those pants away from your belly button. Like, oh, it's sticky. I don't want it on me. Woo, all right, friends, we're going to hold those hands up. We'll finish with some pulses in 3, in 2, and 1. Hold it up, just little pulses, little up, little down, getting that hamstring. You've got 5. You've got 4. For 3, for 2, and 1. Knee comes in. Press yourself back. All right, let's get that left side out of the way here. We'll do it right away before we can even think about what's happening. I'm sweating. If you're sweating with me at home, thank you. I'm honored. All right, we'll make sure that weight is tucked behind your knee. And then we've got that hand just resting here on the block. Find stability in the hips. Again, that little person pressing you up, squeezing, activating that low core. And let's just find that lift and that lower to start. Just a lift and a lower. So finding that stability in your hips. We don't want those hips opening up and twisting. We're really focused on that nice steady pelvis here. This time, let's open to the side and down. It's up, open, and come around. Up, open, and around, and up. Squeeze that core and around. This time, let's open it up, come to the back, and down. Open it up, come to the back, and down. Open it up to the back, and down. Open, back, and down. Let's hold it open here. Little pulses. Up an inch and down. Little up, little down for 5. For 4. For 3, 2, and 1. Draw it in. Good. And then, my friends, we're going to lift it up as we find that push-up down. And back in. Find that push-up. It's coming down. Whew. And let's keep that leg up nice and high. Just finding that push-up here, focusing on the arms and dropping down, squeezing that heel into your glute. Woo, let's do 2 more here. And then we're going to hold that foot up high in 3, in 2, and 1. Keep that foot up nice and high and just find that hamstring curl, that kick up to the sky, making sure no arching of that low back. We're squeezing. You've got 5. Kick the ceiling here. You got 4, 3, 2, and 1. Knee comes in. Good job. All right, give yourself a nice little stretch. Roll out those wrists as you need. We're going to put our block off to the side. And we'll finish off with a couple of rotations here. Little side to side motion. So we'll grab both of your weights. Option here if you would like. You can use that yoga block behind your back. That can feel kind of nice as a nice little support. Or you can do it without. And we're going to hinge backwards. Weights are just in your hand, knuckle to knuckle. Exhale, draw left toes up. And then right toes come to meet. We'll start just by rotating, leading with that left elbow. Inhale to center. Exhale, right elbow. Inhale to center. Exhale to rotate. Keeping those hips nice and steady. And one thing that tends to happen when we're tired, those tabletop legs start to droop or the knees come in. So really making sure you're about half an inch away from that level of comfort. You'll know you're there when you start to feel that vibration of your low core. This time, let's extend opposite leg. Inhale to center, meet the knees. Exhale, rotate. Inhale to center. Exhale to rotate. Inhale to center and exhale. Let's hold. Right elbow to left knee in 5. In 4. In 3, right elbow to left knee 2. And 1, little rotations leading with that elbow. You have 5. We're going to hold it in 4. We'll find some toe taps in 3. In 2. And 1, up an inch and down at those right toes for 5. For 4, keep it steady. For 3, 2, and 1, inhale to center. And then exhale, find that twist. Rotate with those right elbows over to that right side. For 4, for 3, shoulders down the back, you got 2, and 1, up an inch and down. For 5, for 4, keep in control for 3, 2, and 1, inhale, come through center. Oh, and those weights can come down. Give yourself a nice stretch here. Beauty. Alrighty, my friends. We are going to find one last move, but we get to be on the ground here. So we're going to grab those weights, find that C-curve, tuck of the chin, roll yourself down. And then we're going to find those feet hip-width distance apart. Weights are at your side. We're going to exhale, push up. Good. And then inhale, hips and elbows come down. Exhale, push, squeeze. And inhale, come down. We're starting that stretch process here. Still a move that's working the whole body, but we're easing into that stretch that's about to come. Let's hold hips up nice and high in 3, in 2, and 1, hips up nice and high. You might want to bring that right heel a little closer to your body. That left heel comes into tabletop. We're going to drop down, press and extend. Everything bends. Everything extends. Good. Everything bends, drops down. Exhale, everything extends. Inhale down. Exhale to push and lift. Inhale down. Exhale, push and lift. Let's hold. Extend it in 3. In 2. And 1. Hold everything extended. Up an inch and down in that right side. You have 5. For 4. For 3. For 2. And 1, knee comes to tabletop, drop down, and slowly those hips can come down. Now, let's press, come up, and then inhale, come down. Press, come up, inhale, come down. We're going to hold it up in 3, in 2, and 1. Inhale, hold it up. Draw that left heel just a little closer to your body. Keep those hips up. You're in that tabletop position here. Everything's going to lift. Everything bends down. Exhale, lift, push. Inhale, lower down with control. Exhale, lift. Inhale, lower with control. You might only be moving a couple inches. That's okay. Let's hold it up in 3. I'm going to pulse the leg on the left side for 2. And for 1, little up an inch. And down, staying stable in the pelvis for 4. 3, 2, and 1. Right knee comes down. Plant that foot and then slowly come down vertebrae by vertebrae. All right, we've got those weights down by our side. Friends, let's give ourselves a nice little stretch here. Let's draw those elbows just out to the side. Give yourself a nice little shake. Knees come into the chest. And we're going to hold the bottoms of the feet. Just a little side to side rock here. When we find those bridges, we're in that nice neutral or slightly articulated spine. And this is a nice way to transition from those bridges, giving a little hamstring stretch, a little spinal stretch here as well. And then we're going to draw those legs together. Knees come in towards the nose. Couple rounds here, nice and slow, working ourselves up. So good. Alrighty, my friends. Thank you so much for working out with me today. I am honored that you came on this workout journey with me. Check out my YouTube channel for a lot of other workouts if you want to add on to make this an entire hour workout. I've got some 10-minute core, some 10-minute arms, 15-minute core, etc. Thanks so much, my friends. It was such a pleasure to work out with you, and we'll see you soon. Bye.